now is I want to bring on Andy Patton and Trevor Hooth really quickly. Hey guys,
what's going on?
So Andy Patton and Trevor Hooth are both part of our Pitcher List staff. Andy Patton, the manager of our Dynasty team. So before we get into it right at 6 o'clock, I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys. What are we going to see here?
Well, we got 3 minor league pitchers who are going to come on to the panel. Daniel Lynch from the Kansas City Royals and 2 Detroit Tigers, Alex Faedo and Tarik Skubal. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a bunch of questions we're going to ask them, just kind of various things about the life of being a minor league pitcher, what it's been under quarantine, how much they use analytics to kind of evaluate their performance. So it's going to be really fun. I'm really glad that these 3 guys were willing to come on and talk to us. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
So I should give you guys a proper introduction, by the way. Andy Patton is Dynasty manager over at PitchCon, where he's churned out over 200 different pieces focusing on Dynasty, including a recent gift tournament focusing on prospects. Definitely give him a follow at Twitter at Andy Patton SEA. Of course, you also do a lot of coverage with USA Today with the Seahawks as well. All over the place, Andy Patton. And Trevor Hooth is as well. Trevor Hooth writes, of course, with us at Pitcher List, but it also contributes at Bless You Boys, Viva Alberto's, the FF Chronicle, Prospects 365. Also has a prospect podcast with the Red Sox at Over the Monster. And he also helps out with the Prospects Live podcast. It's just endless. And there's a good reason why. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about, despite how much he'll tell you otherwise. Definitely give him a follow at Hooth. Trevor, the one requirement I had today for this presentation is that Trevor Hooth does not talk negatively about himself.
I said you got nothing to worry about. Got nothing to worry. It's not about me. We have these 3 awesome pitchers here. We're going to hear from them, not me.
Yes, and they're all ready to go. So Andy, your shirt is fantastic, by the way.
Of course.
I love the red. I'm one of the few that got the red, and I kind of think the red pops a lot.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of guys who got in the red, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it looks. So it turned out good.
I mean, I got, because of how it looked on you, I got the red PitchCon shirt. So looking forward to wearing that tomorrow. But yeah, I'll get started. Do you want all 3 of them on here, or do you want just one by one?
Bring them on.
All right, let's do this. I'll see you guys. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. Can't wait to hear from them. I remember actually on the stream with Trevor Hooth, if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I'm loving all of these on the stream. So I can't wait to hear more about it and have a good time.
All right. All right. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for all coming on. I really appreciate it. So Nick kind of gave a quick introduction of what we're going to be doing for the 3 of you and also for everybody listening. We're just going to do a quick panel. We're going to kind of just ask you guys some broad questions about your minor league careers up to this point, kind of how everything's going. Trevor and I are going to trade off asking you guys some questions. So first off, if you guys, for the few people out there who might not know who you guys are, who are just learning about the minor leagues or who are not fans of the American League Central, which is where you're all from, can you just each give a quick little intro, where you went to college, where you're from, maybe where you pitched, the last level that you guys pitched at, and then we'll kind of get into the questions. We'll go, I guess I'll just tell Tarik, why don't you go first? If you can hear me, yes, no? Tarik, you there?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. What was the question? Sorry, it was like lagging out.
Oh, you're good. Can you just kind of give a quick intro of who you are, where you're from, where you last pitched?
Yeah, Tarik Skubal. Went to school at Seattle University, drafted in 2018, and last year I ended in Erie.
All right. Alex?
Hey, yeah, I'm Alex Faedo. I went to the University of Florida. I'm with the Detroit Tigers like Tarik, and I ended in Erie as well last year with Skubal.
All right. Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel Lynch. Went to the University of Virginia with the Kansas City Royals, and I ended in Wilmington.
All right.
I guess I ended in the fall league, but
yeah,
that was the last place I pitched.
Well, guys, we're so happy we can have you all on, and the next question for you is kind of for all 3 of you. You can go in the same order and answer them, but I know that right now is not exactly a normal time for you. So what are you guys doing during this, during the quarantine, during this pandemic to be able to stay in shape and be ready to go?
Yeah, I feel like, I've just been kind of working out, throwing bullpens, and then just playing a lot of video games. That's kind of what I've been doing to pass time pretty much is just play video games and after work out in the mornings and play video games all afternoon.
Yeah, me and Skubal play a lot of Fortnite together, so we do that a lot. But mornings been able to still lift and train pretty much like I usually did in the off season, and then just throwing, trying to get like 2 pens a week, just trying to stay ready for whenever we do get the call.
Yeah, I've just been working out. I'm lucky. I have a brother who's a senior in high school, and so I've been just throwing with him, long tossing, getting all that, and same thing, just trying to stay on my routine, get some, get 2 or 3 bullpens in, or 2 bullpens a week, I guess. And I don't play video games, so I kind of just do whatever to try to stay entertained.
So are you guys doing Fortnite? Is this Twitch? I mean, you guys go live stream. Can we watch this at any point, or are you guys just playing together and letting it happen?
No, yeah, we just have fun.
I think Faedo streams
a couple of those streams, but I guess I get a little camera shy or something. I always do bad when I'm doing it, so I gotta stay off.
Daniel, I'm like you, man. I don't really play a lot of video games, but this is testing me. It's really tempting to go out and get something so that I can actually be a little bit more entertained.
Yeah, I was thinking I might start.
Yeah, not a bad idea. So all 3 of you guys came from college, the Division I ranks. So I'm curious what the transition from the collegiate level to the professional level. Alex, I know you didn't play in your first. You didn't play right away when you started. I'm just kind of curious what transitioning from college to the pros was like. Was there kind of hurdles that you were expecting, were not expecting, and just kind of how that transition went in your guys' first year?
All right, I might switch over to my iPhone, my iPad. It's like cutting down. I'm just gonna leave it and then.
Okay, cool. Alex, you're up then.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference really is just going out there and like each guy has their own approach against you. Instead of just like that college feel of everyone in the lineup has that one approach that the coach kind of demanded. So I feel like just trying to like figure out what each batter's trying to do against me and then try to pitch against that and use my strengths against him. But I mean, I think playing in the SEC kind of like helped me out, playing in front of crowds, in front of ESPN and stuff like that. So playing in AA now, the crowds don't make that big of a factor anymore.
Daniel, why don't you go? We'll let Tarik get
that. Okay. Yeah, for me, the transition was honestly a lot easier than I expected. I think I expected it to be really, it's like professional baseball, so I expected it to be really difficult. But I enjoyed the freedom of being able to kind of do my own thing and do like exactly what I wanted to do with no one really telling me what in college is kind of pretty strict regiments and you're doing whatever the team wants you to do. And I really enjoyed the freedom. So the transition was pretty easy for me.
Good.
All right, what was the question? I couldn't even hear it.
Sorry, Tarik. The question was just going from the collegiate level to the professional level and just kind of what that adjustment looked like for you and kind of the hurdles that you anticipated or maybe some of the hurdles you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I think the first adjustment was just going to the field every day, and playing baseball every day. And then throwing every 5th day was the second adjustment for me. Is just like getting your body ready to throw every 5th day instead of every 7th day. Like in college, you're getting 1 start a week, and then in pro ball, you're starting every 5th day. So I think those 2 things are the biggest adjustment. But other than that, I feel like it's a lot more fun baseball, I think, as well too. So
yeah.
And kind of building off that, I think it runs back to what Alex was talking about. Is there a lot more preparation that goes into it since you have to, know? I mean, maybe you've seen some of these guys before, but they're gonna approach you this way, or is it a lot of just reading the situation?
Yeah, it's a lot different in that aspect too. In college, you're just getting told this is the pitch you're throwing, so you don't have to do all that research. You're just trying to execute that pitch. But the organization helps us out a lot and gives us a lot of information to use, and then we kind of have a little bit of preparation before the game.
Yeah, I enjoy doing it because I think it's more of a independent and I guess more rewarding thing when you get a scouting report on someone and you were right, you throw the right pitch, and then you get to face the same guys 3 or 4 times and you sort of try it. It's sort of like a chess match because they've seen you and you've seen them, and so you kind of go back and forth. So I've enjoyed that type of preparation.
Yeah, and I think the preparation also builds and creates more confidence. Like for myself, is when I do my own research and look into things and see scouting reports, I just feel like I get more and more confident if I can just go out there and execute some pitches and have success that way.
And as you guys are transitioning and learning all this stuff, I know there's some of it comes from the organization, but some of it can come from being able to encounter veterans along the way too. So, I mean, when you guys have encountered guys who have been there and gone through it, and have they been able to help you at all?
Yeah. Our clubhouse has done a really good job at spring training. Us young guys that were up there trying to learn and get innings up there. The older guys, they did a great job helping us. You know, showing us what to do. You know, seeing what we do good and just trying to help. You know, make us more complete pitchers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Brad Keller was one that actually helped me a lot. He basically took me into the video room and broke down how he does a scouting report. And not that I would necessarily do it exactly the same as him, but he sort of just showed me how to navigate through the system and all the information that's available. And then you can sort of take the information that you want because there's so much of it available for you.
Yeah, I think the rotation in the big leagues for us was like huge in spring training. They like tried to help us as much as possible, and I think that's huge. Is just getting a little bit more comfortable with those guys, and then more confident with yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious. There's tons of sites, ours included. I'm going to shamelessly plug Pitcher List's new Dynasty team real quick. Who do a lot of rankings. They do team by team rankings. They do like top 100, top 200 prospect rankings. I'm curious, either way, if you guys pay a lot of attention to that, if your organization pays a lot of attention to that, if that's just something that you guys kind of just ignore and kind of go at your own pace with, or just kind of where those kind of fall in on your guys' radar.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I look at it and I see guys that I know I played with and the guys I'm playing with now, and I see how highly they're ranked and how much love they're getting, it makes me feel really good, you know, like as a teammate, seeing your guys get a lot of, you know, accolades. But I think at the same time, we all just keep our heads down and keep working and just aren't really worried about all that. But it is nice.
Sure.
Yeah. I kind of stay away from it personally.
Yeah, sure.
I don't really see how it's going to help me. You know, because like if you need someone to rank you high to feel confident about yourself, then I don't really feel like, you know.
Sure.
I don't really see the point in that. So I personally just try to stay away from it. But I definitely think that there's value. I think what Alex said, it's cool to see guys that you played with have success and be able to be happy for them.
Yeah, I agree with both those guys. It's cool to like get recognition and stuff like that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter much, honestly. You know, like it doesn't change what you have to do on the mound pretty much. So
sure.
And so next, to shift gears back towards being on the mound and maybe preparation, but there's a huge movement in analytics recently. I don't know. I mean, does that play a part in how you guys do things day in and day out? You know, how you approach it on the mound, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing a lot of good with that in the organization. I feel like they're putting a lot of time and effort, giving us the best resources we can. I think they implemented it a lot this spring training, so we didn't get too much time. But I think Tarik would say the same thing. I mean, they're working with us, seeing how our pitches move, how they look, stuff like that. But at the same time, they want us to pitch well and have good results, not just worry about what the computer says. So it's just a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more of a prominence of it this spring training, and I guess maybe just being in big league spring training, you know, like throwing on a Rapsodo every bullpen, Edgertronics behind us. And they didn't necessarily give us a lot of access to that information because I think it's like can be a little bit overbearing if you have all that information. But they did a good job of accessing it when it was necessary and showing us, you know, things that, you know, not necessarily just giving us information every day, but if there's something that's relevant to what you're doing or working on, then giving you that, and that's definitely helpful.
Yeah, I think they do a good job in our organization of having that stuff available and ready if you want to use it, and if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But I think they have a good blend of analytics, but also, you know, just if you can go out and get outs, that's kind of what matters. So.
Right. Yeah.
So,
go ahead, Trevor.
If you're looking into that kind of stuff, I mean, does that affect in the little bit you've been exposed to? I mean, does that affect how you're going to, you know, sequence or, you know, where you want to put certain pitches? I mean, how does that affect your approach that much?
Oh, I'm sorry. Honestly, I wasn't listening to that. I saw that we had a chat on there, so I started looking at that.
Just talking about, do the analytics, does that affect how you might think about sequencing when you get on the mound or your approach when you're in game?
Yeah, I feel like I can't live and die by it because you got to know what your eyes see too at the same time. But I think it does give you a little bit of confidence just knowing that like if I can execute this pitch with this stuff that I'm confident in having, and the numbers also show over a long period of time that someone struggles in that count with that pitch and that certain location, that kind of all comes together and you can just you feel really good and confident about each pitch you're throwing. So I mean, it's just like school. If you're like well prepared, going into a test, you feel a lot more confident.
I'd say understanding my stuff a little bit more definitely helped me sequence. Like, if a guy, it's hard to think of an example, but I think just understanding, like if you spin your fastball well, you can attack at the top of the zone. But that's the biggest thing, I guess, for me that I've learned how to do from all the analytics stuff is like learning that I can throw my fastball at the top of the zone. Like that's something I never knew how to do and something that I learned a lot. But honestly, for my other pitches, it doesn't really tell me much. It's more like from like what it looks like to my eye, how it's feeling that day.
Yeah, I think the analytics do play into. I've used it more as like pitch design, as I've been trying to spin my curveball a little bit more efficiently and get the action that I want, and it gives you direct feedback. Whether the Rapsodo's there and telling you what it's doing, or you get on an Edgertronic and it's literally showing how it's coming out of your hand. So I think that's where I've really progressed how I pitch, is just seeing how it's coming out of my hand and then making adjustments and making the pitches do what I want them to do, rather as just like, passing an eye test. But that's kind of what I've been working on with analytics and the Rapsodo and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny, Daniel, that you brought up the attacking high in the zone with a fastball, because that was actually going to be my specific question for Tarik, because I was watching video and that seemed like something that he was doing a lot. And I saw a clip of Derek Hill was talking about you, and he said that you go 3 innings without throwing anything but a fastball. At least that's what he sees. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
He's way out in center field, so I don't think I throw only fastballs. But no, yeah, I do, and that's something that the Rapsodo and I spin it pretty well, so I can live up in the zone a little bit and attack more up in the zone. I don't have to live down, but yeah, that's something that I learned about myself too when I got into pro ball. Is like, oh, I can actually do that. Not only late in counts, I can do it early in counts and get swing and misses, or maybe a pop fly, an early pop fly or something like that.
Yeah. I think we at Pitcher List, we call it the Blake Snell syndrome or something like that. Nick will correct me, but that's something that he's perfected a lot, is the fastball's up and then the breaking pitches down, and it's kind of cool to see that kind of infiltrating out in the minor leagues. I know, Daniel, you mentioned it too, so I don't really have a question on that. I was just pointing out that that's something that it's really cool to see you guys start to do that, because I think it's really helpful. Next question was just, we've talked a lot about, I think sometimes people can get a tiny bit over analytical when it comes to like mound visits. We always wondering like what the coach is coming out there to say. And I've heard a lot of stories about sometimes mound visits are just more nonsensical and not necessarily super serious. I'm just curious if any of you guys have a funny story about a coach coming out or a catcher coming out, and maybe it seems like a serious conversation, and maybe it's more like something from Bull Durham where they're just talking about random. If you guys got a story on that.
Yeah, I don't have any really crazy stories with coaches or players or anything like that. I feel like I just try to focus. I feel like they kind of feel the same way. But I remember my freshman year of college, Richie Martin, who's the shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles. I remember he used to always come out there if I was like wasn't pitching too good and start like asking me what I'm gonna do after the game, like if he wants to hang out. And I'm like, man, he'd be like, yo, Richie, like, no, I want to like get out of this inning. But I mean, it was funny. It's funny looking back at it now, but I guess like I think eventually he started being a little more serious with me. But it's funny looking back at it.
I would say that, yeah, I think I had our shortstop when I was young would do the same thing, similar thing, just try to distract me from the nerves of the game. I don't really have a specific thing, but same thing. Our shortstop was a junior when I was a freshman, and so when I'd be pitching, he'd come and say, like, yeah, what are you doing after the game? What are you going to eat for dinner after the game? And same thing. I didn't really understand why he was doing that, but now looking back on it, it's probably just trying to distract me.
Yeah, I mean, most times I feel like when a catcher comes out or a pitching coach comes out, it's like to give me a break too. I'll be like, dang, I just threw like 27 pitches straight. I need like a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, please come out after this batter or something like that, just to catch your breath and focus up a little bit again. But yeah, I don't really know if I have any funny stories or anything like that.
Fair enough.
Is that tough? Because I know, as a pitcher, you're out on the mound and you have this whole, everybody's different. I feel like as a pitcher, some guys can take the distraction a little bit better than others. Is that hard when your teammates are just trying to distract you on the mound to calm you down and think they're helping, but maybe they're not because you just want to focus on, the task at hand?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just got to handle it without being, kind of like a jerk to your teammates. But I think eventually after a few games, they start to realize your personality. And a lot of guys, I mean, you don't want to mess with the pitcher while he's pitching. That's kind of his day to focus and do his job. But, I mean, at the same time, when they do give you, a high five or something like, hey, good job, like, you gotta be. It makes you feel good that your guys got your back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly am usually pitching my best when I can joke around in the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm feeling confident, I don't ever really worry about like in between innings. If someone says something to me, my personality is just not really like someone to be too serious. That usually happens when I'm pitching poorly and I'm like not feeling confident. But when I'm feeling good and confident, like if someone wants to talk to me or if a mound visit, if a coach jokes around or something, it doesn't really bother me. It just probably plays better into, my personality.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty serious and quiet when I'm pitching. I don't know. I don't really mess around much. I don't know if Alex, but I mean, Alex is like super competitive and locked in when he's out there too. So I don't really mess with Alex when he's pitching. I don't think he messes. It's just kind of like a fist bump when you walk in, and it's like, all right, yeah, like
we're
you
kind
got
of the
this.
same. Tarik
yeah,
locks
I
in
mean,
too.
yeah, I think Alex might be actually like the most competitive like bulldog pitcher I've ever been around. So
I appreciate
but yeah,
that.
he's pretty dialed in, and he gets it too with me. Like some guys like to mess around or talk about things, but I feel like I'm not one of those guys. I'm pretty dialed in talking about what
Sometimes
hitter
he'll
I'm
ask
going to face the
questions.
next inning.
Yeah, sometimes you'll be like, yo, did that do this? But like you're talking, but you're like still focused. It's not like a joke or nothing, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's usually about the game. It's not. I don't know. I don't really ever talk about what I'm going to do later. It's more just kind of like, all right, I'll think about that after this game's done.
Did that kind of come really naturally to you guys on the mound? Like I've read some about some pitchers and other players in other sports who do a lot of mental training to kind of hone in and focus really intently. Do you guys just have that kind of innate ability to just really lock in on what you're doing? Or is it something that you've kind of had to work on or practice to kind of get better at in your careers?
Yeah, no, I don't feel like I practice or anything. Like I just feel like I just care about the game and my teammates and the team so much that I feel like every time I go out there I want to give it my best and not let them down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, I think it was definitely something I had to work on. It's something I still work on. Because like I said, being super bulldog or locked, super trying to be super locked in just isn't, it's unnatural for me. And it's, kind of inauthentic when I try to do it. And I think in college, I felt like I was supposed to be that way. And it played against who I am. And I just try to do my best to be in the moment. And, if that's joking around and laughing or whether that means I need to be locked in or asking questions about the game, like they said, it's just kind of doing my best to be in the moment.
Yeah, I feel like I've been pretty competitive my whole life, but Coach Kirby at Seattle U, Andy, he's like the most intense guy ever. So I feel like he just is put that into me. Like, this is how you play the game. This is how you're supposed to play. And I don't know. I feel like that's just the way I like to play baseball now.
Sure.
And so one of the things I'm sure that obviously helps is your relationship with a catcher. Is that hard to maintain or to build maybe even super quickly if you're moving on through the levels or, just entering the organization?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think our catchers do a really good job, but I feel like they got to get innings caught, while you're throwing to feel like how you do things, how you want to do things, your personality, stuff like that. But I give a lot of credit. Our guys do a good job at, trying to get to know us and, being on our side and working with us, helping us even during bullpens and flat grounds. So, I mean, it's been a pretty good transition so far.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the catchers are with us in every full pitchers meeting, and then we do a pitchers meeting before the game too, and the catchers are always there going over the scouting report. And for me, as long as the catcher's there and shows that he is interested in, what we're going over and is locked in and engaged, then I respect it, and then it's pretty easy for me to build a relationship with him from there.
Yeah, our catchers in our organization do a really good job of getting on the same page. I think that's the first, adjustment if you go to a different level, is just like, all right, well, let's figure out how this guy throws, or what he does well, or what he doesn't do well. And I think our catchers do a really good job of picking that up and going with it right away.
I'm curious if you guys have any memorable pitch sequences in your career, whether it was in college or in the pros, as like maybe a 3-pitch strikeout, or maybe a sequence you remember negatively, like a pitch you thought you were going to execute well and the guy hit it over the fence, or you did execute it well and that happened. I'm just curious if any of those stand out to you guys, and how you guys kind of maybe rebounded from them, or if they're positive ones, kind of if you've utilized that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I remember so many pitches about like so many ABs, but I also like a lot of the guys that I put a lot of emphasis on when I'm pitching it, like they're still playing, so I don't want to like name any names.
Sure.
I know that like my freshman year of college, I was scuffling a little bit, and then the World Series, I got to face Miami, and I remember throwing a backup breaking ball that ended up striking out a guy to get out of the inning, and for some reason that always stuck in my head. And I was like, I mean, they would like, I'd like see it like, on a highlight or something, be like, oh my gosh, I got so lucky, and that just kind of like ingrained in my brain.
Sure.
For me, it's definitely from the fall league, throwing on the robo ump. I threw 3 straight pitches that like weren't even close, and they all got called strikes, and punched the guy out on 3 pitches, and he was just like, I was laughing on the mound. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think for me, I was working on throwing backdoor sliders this last season. And the first start that I ever threw a backdoor slider, I was like, yeah, I got to do it once in the game, And I throw like a 0-1 backdoor slider first time in my life, and it gets like absolutely ripped over the like opposite field home run. And I'm like, how did that just work out? Like I finally threw a backdoor slider, a good one, and it hits an absolute bomb. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not doing that anymore. So I got rid of that pitch, stopped practicing it. Yeah, that's kind of my story.
So you're not going to bring it back, or you're going to bring it back until the next time that happens, or you got to plan with that pitch?
I don't know. I haven't thrown another one since then, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it tough to balance like wanting to work on the backdoor slider in a game, but knowing that may not be like the best you can throw out there? So between competing and working on kind of those adjustments, is that a tough balance to find?
Yeah, I feel like that's like a big thing with me. That I feel like I always am trying to like compete and win. And like sometimes like our pitching coach MJ will be, oh, you got to throw like 5 changeups this inning. I'm like, man, but what if like there's a leadoff double? Like I got to kind of lock it in. I don't want to throw 5 changeups if I don't have to. So I mean that it's kind of funny looking back on it, but when you're kind of rolling, it doesn't really. You're actually using all your pitches, so I guess it should be smarter for me to start doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The Royals have been all over me about throwing my changeup more, and it's something where it's my 4th pitch, and so if I already have 3 pitches that are working and I'm getting guys out, it's like, why would I throw my worst pitch? But they really want me to work on it, and so it's understanding that, and I guess it's a lot of it's like finding good times in the game to use it, like not necessarily trying to bases loaded 1 out, trying to just throw a bunch of changeups all of a sudden, but sneaking times in there where I can use it and practice it, but also compete at the same time and try to like give my best stuff. Yeah,
I mean, I think I agree. Like it's hard to manage that, working on something and then actually doing it in the game. But I need to throw my changeup more too. And I think it's just like tell the catcher that day, hey, every first pitch, of every inning, let's throw a changeup, or second batter of every inning, let's throw a changeup first pitch, and just see what happens. What's the worst? You go down 1-0, or they swing and miss, or they take, and you're up 0-1. So I don't know. Sometimes you just got to jump in and do it too. So that's also part of it.
Kind of compounding on that a little bit and going back to the prospect rankings conversation from earlier, how much do your coaches and people in the organization emphasize like the statistics that you put up? Because obviously you guys want to put up good stats because good stats help you win, and obviously that makes you feel better and everything. But if you're throwing backdoor sliders for the first time and giving up home runs, like I'm assuming that your player development and the coaches and stuff know what's going on, and that's not being kind of going against you guys negatively. I'm just curious how much you guys hear from your coaches about the emphasis on the statistics versus the competing versus just working on the stuff that they want you to work on?
Yeah, I feel like our organization does a good job with that. I mean, I kind of feel like they know they have like the good communication. So like we'll talk to them, be like, hey, this is what I'm going to work on against this guy. So they kind of know beforehand. Like, oh, I saw this watching Tarik throw the other day. I think I can throw him, back foot changeups or something, righty, and then they'll know like maybe I do that and I leave it up and the guy hits a home run or something. Like, oh, okay, I see what he was doing. He was trying to work on that today. So I think just the open communication really helps with that because they want you to go out there and win too. So they're going to try to give you that homework. You should try to practice this against this guy.
Yeah, I would say the exact same. Like they do a good job of like they know that I want to pitch well and I want to give my best stuff, but they also try to help me understand that long-term development is what the minor leagues are about. But definitely if I go a game where I only throw like 2 changeups, they'll definitely like be like, all right, we're gonna fine you if you don't throw 15 changeups today. Or, I don't care if you go up 10 runs, like you need to throw changeups.
Yeah, I think they wrote it. I remember the pitching coach asked me like, hey, was that a backdoor slider? And I was like, yeah. And I think he wrote it down after I gave up that home run on that pitch. So I mean, I don't know if that matters, but like they do say I need to throw more changes, but at the end of like if I'm pitching well and I'm throwing the ball well and I'm having good outings, they've never said, hey, like you need to throw changeups this inning. It's like, all right, well if the fastball is getting by guys, like keep throwing the fastball, or if the slider's on, like keep throwing the sliders. So.
Okay, so again, we really appreciate what's going on here. I think we're going to jump into just talking, individually and a little bit more questions geared toward that. So, I mean, Alex, one of the questions I had for you was about, you got a taste of Double A in 2018, and then you came back in 2019, the same level, and really, pitched fantastic. So, is that a matter of getting comfortable? Were there adjustments you were able to make? What was behind that?
Yeah, the second half of the season in 2018, that's kind of when the Tigers started to work on more analytical stuff. So I was trying to do a little bit more of the developmental side, and my numbers weren't very good. Not because of it, but just something different. And then working on things that the Tigers wanted me to going into last year really helped me improve as a pitcher. And then being able to work with Tarik and Casey and Matt and Joey Wentz, all these guys that we have. Just being able to not only push me, but then also, help me become a better, more rounded pitcher. Just really helped me, I feel like improve in the Eastern League.
Yeah, Tarik, go ahead. Go ahead, Trevor. Sorry.
Is that a confidence thing, or were there mechanical changes, things like that? I know being able to talk to guys probably helps.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always pretty confident, especially being on the mound. I don't think it was any of that. It was just, trying to work more on top of the ball, trying to pitch up in the zone, trying to spin the ball, using changeups, when to use them, pitch sequencing. So there's like a few things that went into it. My stuff just was flat out just not as good in 2018 as well. So that probably made a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, Tarik, the question I was going to ask you was about the pitch sequencing and the tunneling, and we kind of already talked about that. So I'm just going to ask about obviously, you had Tommy John surgery in college, which I know, you got drafted by the Diamondbacks, I think 29th round, I want to say, something like that. Came back to school. Senior season was good, but maybe not quite as good as you had been before that.
It was bad. You can say it was bad. It was bad. I didn't pitch great.
I saw one of the good parts. I went to a couple games that year. I saw you pitch really well, but yeah. So it was a rough senior year, we'll say that, and then the draft stock dropped a little bit. Did that change your motivation a little bit? Do you think that the Tommy John had an impact on your performance that year? Obviously, you didn't struggle pretty much at all since you've got into the minor leagues. So was it partly just a difference in where you were pitching, or was it just a recovery from the surgery, or what was it?
Yeah, I think it was just more of, the time off when you take, I don't know how many months I took off, but like 18, 20 months or something away from baseball. And I hadn't played, in a while. And plus I was recovering from my surgery. I was more focused on, making the start every week as opposed to, I was focused on the results and stuff, and I wanted to put my team in a position to win games. But I think for me, it was just getting healthy throughout the season. I think throwing all those innings was big for me. And then finally getting fully healthy and getting back to playing baseball, I think that was huge for me. And and just getting back to, you know, my routine. So.
And Daniel, the one of the questions we had for you is something kind of, you know, unique of the three of you is you mentioned a couple times, and that is the Arizona Fall League, and how you got to pitch there. So I was just hoping you could talk a little bit about your experience there.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge for me, honestly, just to get around guys from other organizations, and I picked up so much, and it was like just really small things, but it made a huge impact. Like we talked about throwing up in the zone, like that happened when a guy from the Nats was watching his film. We only had one computer, so I had to sit in there and wait. And I was just watching. I was like, damn, you're throwing at the top of the zone a lot. He's like, I just throw every pitch through the emblem on the catcher's mask. And it's something that I never really thought about. And I never thought about being able to do that every pitch. Mm-hmm. And then just getting around guys and seeing different routines and the way they go about it, it was just a super fun and helpful experience.
What about the robo-umps? You talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious if you had more thoughts on that.
I wasn't a fan. I mean, because there were pitches I felt like I executed, like first pitch down and away, and I'm like, oh, that's on the black, and it's a ball. And then I throw like a sinker that bounces, and it's a strike. It's like I'd much rather have the one that I executed than the one that I spiked in the ground.
Fair enough. All right, back to kind of full questions, because I saw this one pop up on our chat and I wanted to ask it because we should have had it down. Did you guys, any of you guys have pitchers that you grew up watching that kind of motivated you, or pitchers that you maybe emulate? Alex, I think I saw a video where you talked about Matt Manning as somebody that you pitched like. I'm curious if there are maybe guys who are not at the same level as you that you watched maybe growing up that you try to pitch, model yourself after.
Yeah, I kind of just I went to high school. My dad coached the high school that Jose Fernandez went to, so being able to work and learn kind of from him at a young age, you know, I think really helped me and, you know, taught me how to play the game and pitch the right way. So watching him grow up and, you know, how dominant he was when he got into the league, you know, really helped me out and helped my my attitude towards when I'm out there on the mound and how I'm pitching and attacking the hitter.
Sure.
For me, it was Cole Hamels. Like 2008, when he was dominant, was kind of when I was I think I was like 12 or 13. When I was kind of breaking through to playing real baseball, and he, you know, I started like going over the head like him. I don't do that anymore, but I just like loved watching him pitch, and so he's definitely one that I grew up watching.
Yeah, I feel like I grew up just watching baseball and good pitchers pitch. I mean, I didn't really know any, like I just watched them because they were good. And then in college, I was in Seattle, and James Paxton was also in Seattle, and he's like a big lefty who throws pretty over the top. So I feel like I watched when he was pitching or something. I would tune into one of his starts when he was with the Mariners. So that was probably the guy that I tried to, you know, replicate myself after a little bit.
Cool.
And building off of that, I mean, I know that Andy had mentioned something about, you know, Matt Manning, but you know, you're all in organizations that have really, you know, solid pitchers that you know, I'm sure your teammates and stuff. So is it, you know, how much do you learn from each other? I guess is where I'm heading with this.
We learn a lot. I mean, we all pitch a little bit differently. Tarik throws with, you know, a different arm, so it's kind of hard to watch him and kind of compare how to attack hitters. But I mean, we kind of all have similar problems. Like I throw my changeup too hard. Tarik throws his like 18 miles per hour off his fastball. I don't know how. So like he'll always talk to me about grips and pressures on the ball, and that'll help me a lot. But then like I end up going back to what I usually do. But I mean, all the guys they all have their things that they're really good at, and we kind of all feed off that.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, Alex knows Kohar and Singer, and those are like two of my closest friends with the Royals, and those guys obviously were great college pitchers and got the experience of winning a national championship. So they live together, so they're super close. And so like kind of just getting around their dynamic and being able to join with them and bounce stuff off of them. And then Chris Bubich too is another close friend, and he's definitely more on the analytical side. And him being a lefty is helpful too. So I mean, the four of us, and there's obviously more people too, but you know, it's it's nice when you have that many good guys around that you can kind of talk through things with and watch and, watch their bullpens and things.
Yeah, I think being around really good pitchers make yourself a lot better. Like watching Faedo pitch, I'd be like, wow, that guy competes and he never gives in on a mound. I'm like, I can do that. Like, why don't I do that? Why don't I put that in my game? Or, watch how Casey goes about his business. Like all he does, his preparation is insane. And then Manning, I've actually worked with Manning about his curveball and how he throws it, and trying to really work on that. And then Wentz, obviously, he's left-handed, so I feel like I finally got a lefty that I can relate to and watch pitch, and then feel like, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense as opposed to just all right-handed guys. But I feel like it's huge to have those guys that are really good around you to learn from.
Yeah, Daniel, you touched on this a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of throw this question out to the whole group about kind of having a wake-up moment or some kind of something that happens where you're like, oh, maybe I should attack high in the zone with the fastball. Have you guys had any moments, whether it was from teammates or coaches or wherever, where you just kind of realized, oh, like that's something I hadn't thought about before. That's a pitch I hadn't really tried to orchestrate in that way, and kind of something that's maybe helped you guys out in that way?
I feel like I don't have any that just come off to the top of my head, but I feel like when I'm out there on the mound, I'll think of certain scenarios where, like, I had a guy on second with a certain count, certain outs, and like I'll try to like think back on how that situation went, how to attack the hitter, and but nothing crazy where like I could think of it and have a story for you.
I'm trying to think of one aside from.
You're in a tough spot, Daniel, because you already used yours. If you got another one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe just like for me, I think of an example of like watching Kohar, who's obviously he's got the best changeup I've ever seen, and he throws it so hard. And I obviously struggle with my changeup, like I said. And I remember watching him where he didn't pitch too well for a couple games, and I was like, hey man, I think your baby and your changeup, like it doesn't seem like you're throwing it with the same arm speed. And then it kind of made me realize, like, maybe that's why my changeup sucks so bad, because I baby it all the time. But maybe, that's something I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned that my fastball could play up in the zone too. That's something that I learned right away, that I don't have to just work in and out. I can also work up and down. I think that's like 4 pitches in one with just your fastball. You've got 4 pitches you can do. But I actually learned like a slider my first year in pro ball in 2018. Adam Wolf, who was also drafted in 2018 to the Tigers. I knew he had a cutter, and I was like, how do you throw that? And he just told me the grip, and then my next outing, I just threw it in the game because I was like, what's the worst that happens? It gets hit. And then I just started throwing it. Mine turned into a slider. So that's something that I also learned.
Another question for you guys about more about growth than anything else. I mean, you're obviously different pitchers now than you were when you were drafted. So, I mean, whether it be mechanical, mental, I mean, what's kind of been the biggest part of your growth as a pitcher?
In pro ball, I guess it probably has been a little mechanical and analytics wise, just trying to get on top of the ball a little bit more, not try to sink it as much. I think that kind of changed the style and the way I do pitch. Instead of trying to sink and get early outs, try to pitch up in the zone, and then how to throw your breaking ball with good spin efficiency, and kind of just make me a new pitcher, but like kind of still take the best of both worlds.
I would say, aside from what we talked about earlier about just being a little bit more independent and understanding myself, was same thing mechanical. When I got hurt in like the middle of last season, I not changed everything, but I changed my mechanics quite a bit to try to get my arm more on time, use my momentum better to, protect my arm and use my body better. And then from there, like my velo jumped and my command got better. And so I think that was something that I wasn't really trying to do that, but it just ended up kind of happening.
Yeah, I think just the growth of just being able to go to the field every day, and then you get to work on stuff every day. You're at the field every day, and you're playing catch with, people that you start to trust and develop a relationship with. And I actually moved sides of the rubber last year. My pitching coach was like, hey, let's try this out. And I moved from the third base side to the first base side, and just created a little bit harder of an angle to hit. little bit tougher angle for lefties, and then a tougher angle for right-handed hitters too. So, and then you just got to kind of learn how your stuff moves based on that adjustment, and then just kind of pitching like that. So, I think it's something that really helped me create a good angle and a hard angle for hitters to hit.
I'm curious if the organization for you guys, how much they talk to you about anticipated like moves up and like what they want to see from you before they promote you. Obviously, it's more difficult to anticipate what's going to happen this year, but in the past, if that's been kind of conversations they've had with you, or if it's sort of a surprise whenever you guys get promoted.
Yeah, I think, I haven't talked to anyone in our organization about anything like that. I think they just want us to focus on trying to get better each and every day, learn what we can. Mm-hmm. And then when they think we're ready and good enough to help the squad, then they'll call us up.
Yeah, same thing. I think the org just wants us to focus on pitching, doing the best we can, and on what focus on things we can control, and then let them take care of the other stuff. So same thing. I haven't really talked to anyone about expected time and all that.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm kind of the same boat as both you guys. I mean, I haven't really talked to anyone about any of that stuff as well.
Is it spaced out for a second? Has it been hard to kind of keep up? I mean, are you in contact with the organization about, we're not on the field, but you're doing your workouts, you're throwing bullpens and stuff, and are they telling you things that they would like you to work on still, or are you guys kind of free reign? This is where I'm headed.
Yeah, I mean, the strength coaches, the trainers, and the coordinators, the pitching guys, they all call us and see what we're working on, how often we're throwing, what programs are on. So there's been good communication. Most of the time, if I have any pitching questions, I talk with Juan Nieves, our AAA pitching coach. Mm-hmm. So, I moved over from the left to the right side of the rubber, and he thought that was a great idea. We thought that it opened up the plate a lot for me to pitch on. And, that helped a lot just via Zoom calls and calling on the phone weekly.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. We have Zoom calls, and we have pitching coaches check in on us, trainers check in on us. But yeah, I mean, I think the most thing I think they've been worried about is like staying healthy, making sure you're staying ready, staying on your throwing program, and then from there, definitely, what are you working on? How is everything feeling? But I think health has been the main issue for them so far.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to see what we're doing, how much we're doing, and when we're doing things. I've actually been working on throwing a backdoor slider again. Hopefully, it's better this time. But that's something that I was working on in spring, and then whatever I was working on in spring, my changeup, I'm always working on that. Getting a lot more consistent with that. But just working on what I was working on in spring and trying to get better.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question about like what if there are pitches that you guys maybe are working on. Obviously, Tarik, you talked about the backdoor slider. Daniel, you talked a little bit about the changeup. I'm just curious if there's maybe one pitch in your arsenal that you could do something differently with, maybe what that would look like and how you think that would help you.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've been doing is just trying to slow up my changeup. I feel like it moves a lot, and I feel comfortable throwing it, but I just feel like it's too closely the same speed as my fastball. So just trying to slow that down, and actually I have done a good job about that, so I just got to execute and throw those in the games now.
Yeah, perfect.
For me, same thing that Tarik said earlier. I've been working on spinning my curveball more efficiently and trying to take some velocity off of it because I throw my curveball and my slider. Both of them are really hard, so I would like to have some separation. But I've been working on trying to throw my slider harder. That's something I kind of experimented with, throwing like more of like a slider cutter hybrid. That I still play around with it, but I didn't bust it out during camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, at the end of the last, besides the changeup, getting more consistent, I think at the end of the last season, I bet Alex could say this, my slider and my curveball kind of morphed into the same pitch, and they spun like literally exactly the same way, but one was 4 miles an hour softer. I don't really know why. So now I'm just like trying to make sure those are really different. And I feel like I've done a good job. I only got to throw it in my last start in spring training. When I found the grip of the curveball that I liked, that spun the right way and spun efficiently the right way and was doing the right things. So now it's just about keeping them separate, you know, and not letting them morph back in the same pitch.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask people. So, aspiring pitchers watching this, listening to you guys right now, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten that you would give to them?
I think just working hard. I mean, honestly, I feel like I got kind of lucky. I didn't work too hard growing up, and I wasn't even a pitcher until my junior year of high school. So I feel like when that time kind of happened, I just put a lot of my time and effort and, you know, making baseball a really big priority in my life and just working at it. And, you know, you can get better each and every day at something. Not necessarily are you going to, you know, throw harder each and every day, but, you know, you can always work and still, you know, live your life and have fun. But, you know, it's worth it pitching well and pitching at high levels of baseball.
Something that helped me, my coach in when I played in Cape Cod and college said was, and I can't believe I'd never heard it before, but it was just throw strike one and have 2 strikes within the first 3 pitches. So if you're doing that, you're in a 1-2 count or an 0-2 count every time. And then if you're doing that, you're getting more punch outs, getting quicker outs, not walking guys. So it sort of just simplifies, not just like saying throw strikes. It gives you like more of a goal. I don't know. That just really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I agree with those guys. I mean, I think working hard and you know, working hard and going out and competing, and then, you know, the emphasis on winning. I feel like if you're winning, a lot of the guys on your team and you are probably doing the right thing. So I think there should be a big, you know, emphasis on winning baseball games or winning whatever other sport you play. So.
Big thing that I think, I don't know if it's the equivalent of like the first time you dunk a basketball for young basketball players, but for pitchers, certainly the first time you hit 90 miles an hour, I'm sure is an accomplishment in itself. I'm curious if you guys remember the first time that happened. Alex, did you walk onto a mound after not throwing until a junior year and throw 90, or kind of how did that go for you guys?
No, I don't think I probably was really excited. You know, you always want to throw hard. You want to pitch really good, and not everything's about hard you throw, but, you know, that's just like a challenging, exciting thing to do. But I don't remember any time exactly I did it. I was probably just more interested on how well, you know, the results were.
Sure.
I don't necessarily remember an exact time of that exact number because I didn't throw very hard when I was a kid. I was throwing like 83 when I committed DBA. So, and it wasn't until I got older. But I think I remember maybe my senior year of high school. I think there were some scouts at the game, and someone told me like, "Oh, you hit 92 today." I don't know if that's true, but I was definitely fired up.
Yeah, the only time I didn't really throw hard in high school either. I think the only time I ever hit 90 miles an hour was my junior year in like some tournament in the summer or something. I think someone told me I hit 92 and I was really excited. In my next outing, I think I maybe hit 86. So I was like, oh, back to reality, you know, type deal. But I guess it was my junior year, unless it was a misread on the gun, which it probably could have been, because I don't think I threw much harder than 86, 87 miles an hour in high school. So.
I mean, you said you didn't throw that hard. How hard was it to get that build up to, you know, 90 miles an hour? Is it long toss, lifting, just growing?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, it was like I didn't really grow and I didn't really have a lot of strength in high school. I think my sophomore year I was like 5'9" maybe, and then I grew to like 6'2", and then you got to learn how that body works in 1 year, and then putting on the right weight and getting a lot stronger. I think that's what I did in college, and that kind of led to the growth and velocity.
Yeah, same thing for me. I grew from like 5'10" to 6'5" in like 2 years, and so I was like a baby deer. Like I just was so athletic, and so I like my arm was probably so late. The ball felt like it was 5 pounds. So it just took me growing up to.
Yeah, I agree. I get exactly what you're saying. Growing like that, and then kind of relearning your body is something that it's hard.
Yeah. Question we got in the comment section. I'm just going to throw out to you guys. It kind of goes back a little bit to the emphasis on executing versus necessarily the results. Do you guys would you say you work more on command of the pitches that you're throwing or control? And I know there's a very subtle difference between those two things, but kind of where does your focus lie in that regard?
I mean, I feel like I mean a little bit of both, I guess. I want to execute every pitch I can, but ultimately good results equal, a lot of wins. So that's what I'm all in on. Like my backup breaking ball story. I'm okay with that now.
Right.
Like, if I knew,
Seriously.
I would have just tried to execute, I guess, earlier if I know about it now.
Yeah, I mean, I want to work on command, but if I get too fine, my command gets worse. Like if I try to
you
start
got to throw.
throwing,
You can't be a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
like
agree.
if I try to like really think about like, all right, this needs to be here, and then my command gets worse. But I mean, I think something that changed the whole idea of command for me was like when DeGrom pitched against the Royals. I looked up his TrackMan information because I love watching DeGrom, and he's got like all his pitches throwing. He's throwing all of them to the same spot every time, pretty much. Like his slider down and away from righties, his changeups down and away from lefties, and so that changed my idea of like, if you can just get really good at throwing your pitches to the same spot where they're effective, then you can really work on command. You're not trying to work on like 7 different breaking balls in one bullpen. It just sort of simplified it for me.
Yeah, I think it's like, it goes back to kind of what Daniel was saying, control what you can control. I think if you execute a lot of pitches and, you give up 8 runs that day, it's like, oh, that's just baseball. You can't control that. But like, I would rather take that day if I threw 100 pitches, I gave up 8 runs and I executed a lot of pitches than the day of like 5 innings and you don't know how you didn't give up 10 runs. It's like, oh my, like, thank you. I'd rather take the day where I execute a lot of pitches than, I think that's kind of like what makes pitchers good, is being able to do that.
Sure.
So shifting gears a little bit, you guys close your eyes. You can face any MLB hitter. Is there one that you guys are looking forward to? Like that's the guy I want up at the plate?
I mean, no, not really. Just anyone. I'll take anyone. That just means I'm up there, competing at the big leagues, but no one specific.
I would agree. I faced Javi Baez, was my first guy I faced in spring training, so that was definitely an intimidating guy walking to the plate to face.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone wants to face Mike Trout, just, whether it be like, hey, how far is this ball going to go, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, Mike Trout would be a pretty cool at-bat or something like that. I mean, I was a big Albert Pujols fan, actually. It'd be cool to face him, both on the Angels, I guess. So. Yeah.
Alex, you don't want to strike out Richie Martin? You're not focused on getting guys out you played before?
No, I'm not worried about all that. I don't need to talk all that trash. He's actually one of my neighbors, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to burn that bridge.
Well, listen, guys, we really appreciate having you on here. Hopefully, we get to see you guys playing each other up at the big league level. We didn't plan to have only AL Central pitchers, but it worked out that way. As a Tigers fan, I can't say I'm upset about it. But
yeah, I got to tell Tarik this story real quick before we wrap it up. Obviously, we kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I worked at Seattle U when Tarik was there as a student athlete, so I've known him for a long time, and I'm a Tigers fan as well. And I was in my office with one of his teammates right before he got drafted. And I was talking about how I was hoping he would come to Detroit, and I was surprised he hadn't been picked yet and all that stuff. And shortly after he left, like maybe 5 minutes later, is when I saw your name pop up for the Tigers in the 9th round. And I like texted him immediately. I was like, dude, I'm so pumped. So it was really cool to see you end up on the team that I root for and obviously have so much success last year. So again, thanks to all of you, not just the Tigers. We love you too, Daniel. Thanks for coming on. But yeah, no, we really appreciate you guys coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.